Okay, you trained harder than ever. You nailed your long runs. You ran a 1:26 half marathon just 6 weeks ago. You were ready. You believed this was it. This was the marathon where you were gonna run sub 3. Then the marathon day came and it didn't go to plan. The weather shifted, the pace slipped, and now you're left wondering what went wrong and what it all means. But let me tell you something that most runners don't wanna hear. This race, this exact frustration you're feeling right now, it might be the most important thing that's happened to you so far in your running journey. It might be the most important thing that's happened to you in life, and here's why. I'm Lee Grantham, a coach and a professional ultra runner who went from not being able to run for 500 meters to becoming British champion at the 100K and running 6 hours and 42 minutes. And that led me to representing my country at both the marathon and the ultra marathon and traveling around the world racing. And I'm proud to say I've had some shocking results. And it's often those results that I learn way more from than the wins. And my biggest breakthroughs have come when I've started to work with the right people who know what they're doing and can guide me, and then start to do the right things consistently well. And if you want to break through current performance barriers and run way faster, and you want the professional guidance of somebody who's been there and coached many people to be there too, then please get in contact via the link in the description. I got this question in the comments. Can you make a video on how to bounce back from a bad marathon result? Training and fueling suggested a really good race, but that wasn't the case. Weather played a part, but now left feeling deflated. Go again soon and use this training block, or wait till winter for another crack. Now, he also emailed me 10, 11 days ago and said this: can I run a sub 3 hour marathon in Manchester this week? I ran a 1:26 half about 5 weeks ago within a high mileage week. The only problem would be me starting in the 3:30 wave. They put me in the wrong wave and won't change it. Now, there's a lot of people feeling this way at the moment. They put a lot of hard miles in, a lot of energy into that training, a lot of sacrifice has gone into that training, if you look at it like that. Long, dark winters, early mornings, snow, rain, cold winter, and then all of a sudden, Boston, London, and Manchester have all been a little bit hot on race day and thrown you that curveball. So what do you do when it doesn't go to plan? And what's the best advice for this fella? This is exactly what I would do if I was you. First of all, number one, zoom out. Where did you start and where are you going to? And are you going to judge yourself on one bad performance? You ran 1:26 for the half marathon 6 weeks ago. And at Manchester, you laced up, ready to go for something that was not yet in your capability. Ready to risk it, ready to risk failure in order to achieve something great. That already puts you in the top 1% of people. Winners will fail more times than losers will try. And if you're in the headspace right now that every time you go and run a marathon, it's gonna go well, I've got news for you. It's absolutely not. But the good news is, nobody is going to ask you, what's your second fastest marathon time? And it's not even about time. Think about what you're building. 1:26 half marathon. You've executed training, it's gone well, you've performed well, you've got the result that you wanted. Now you've gone for the marathon, the date has hit you with a curveball, it's a bit hotter, you've gone for something, it's not worked out, and now you're a bit battle scarred. This isn't failure. It's feedback. And what actually happened at Manchester, I'm guessing, is you succeeded for a number of kilometers or a number of miles. So now, get back to the drawing board. Number two, setbacks are absolutely crucial. Anytime that I've made a serious jump forward in my running career, it's always come after a big failure. And when I've talked to people across many fields, it's often the case that that happens. If that builds hunger inside of you, extra drive, which it usually does to the right character, that is extremely powerful. Real growth comes from analyzing what is not working, what do we need to change. It's so easy to be great when all the stars are aligned and everything's going to plan for you. And in actual fact, when you look back on this moment a year or 5 years from now, you'll be glad of it. Because if you ran that 1:26 half marathon and then you ran 2:59, if that's what you was going for, and it all went to plan, then what have you learned in that situation? Much less than when something's gone wrong and you've not got that deep hunger, that drive that is gonna really push you forward. I saw this a lot with kids growing up at high school. I was good as a high school runner and I just won every race for the first 3 or 4 years. And then all of a sudden what happens is you get to county level, you get to national level, and you realize that actually you're not that good. It's just that you were a big fish in a small pond. And if that lesson happens too late in your teenage years, it's devastating for many, many people. You see it with high achieving kids. They succeed, exams, fantastic, and then they get to 25, they don't get that job interview, and literally it sends them mental. We have got to fail along the way, not just to make the win more successful or more sweet, but to improve the level that we're going to get to. Number 3, you can have the perfect training build-up. Not get injured, no niggles, no soreness, everything's gone perfectly, you've run hard in training, you've freshened up nicely, you're ready to execute, and then curveball. You've got to control the controllables. And for me, what that means is we are preparing a marathon runner. We're preparing to run as fast as we possibly can on one morning, on one day, but we're preparing somebody who is more tenacious than our current character, who has more persistence, who is going to get it done, and at that 35K mark or 22 miles where they just don't think they can move forward, they ask themselves, who am I in this moment? And that's what you got at the Manchester Marathon. You got many of those moments and they are priceless. And whether it was Boston, Manchester or London and it's hotter, people go there with a plan. We've trained to this pace and how do I adjust? Isn't it not about the situation, but our reaction to the situation that really counts? You can flip this. Don't expect everything to be perfect all of the time. And what I got into is a mentality of if I get there and the conditions are horrible, it's horizontal rain, it's freezing, it's snowing, it might get called off, but eventually it's on, I am going to be tougher than everybody else. And if I get there and it's 20 degrees higher than it should be and everyone's melting, I'm going to be the guy that stays. And so if you put yourself in a headspace that the harder the day is, the better my performance is going to be. And I don't mean by better, faster. We'd have to readjust and be sensible. But what I'm saying is when it gets tough, and it will, expect it to get tough, then who am I in that moment? I'm somebody who's getting the job done today. And then we need to reframe failure and success. If you've run 3:05 instead of 2:59 and it was so much hotter, then is that really failure? Or is that you reaffirming that when the conditions are right for you, which they will be, you're more than capable of 2:59. And in actual fact, you need to readjust that training block and that race for those good conditions. Number 4, when conditions are bad, either so cold or so hot, it's going to affect everything. Nutrition, the clothes that you wear, hydration. There are many factors that you just couldn't be impeccably prepared for, but you can put yourself into a mindset of whatever today throws at me, or whatever my race throws at me, or my marathon throws at me, I'm going to hit it out of the park. No matter what it is, I don't care, because I'm going to be better at dealing with that problem than everybody else around me. That's the mindset you want to be in. Number 5. Don't let one day define your running journey. Your half marathon of 1 hour and 26 minutes shows that you're capable of so much more, and you're on this upwards journey, which is absolutely wonderful. What's more important here is you've executed the training. You've put yourself in a place where you can run a fast half marathon, and you've put yourself on the start line of a marathon with your hat in the ring, ready to go for it. So in the last 3 to 6 months, you've built a good trainer. You've built somebody who can put together a marathon block. What I would be doing now is, again, taking stock. What went right? What went wrong? You mentioned the nutrition was good and the training was good, but be really brutally honest with yourself. The more critical you can be with yourself at this point and really get under the bonnet and say, okay, nutrition, was it optimal or was it just pretty good, or was it better than last time? Fueling and nutrition, logistics, etc. before the race. How would I rate myself out of 10? What can be improved? And that's what we're looking for. How can you improve so that next time it's just not you executing on what you've said you would do at Manchester, but going way faster. The more stones you can look under as to where those improvements are, the better you're going to become as a trainer and also a racer. And the best way to do this is, of course, reach out to a coach and start working with somebody who really knows what they're doing. Number 6, most people just stay in their comfort zone, and that's why they don't grow. Not only were you willing to show up which shows courage. You were willing to show up and try to do something that you're not capable of at the moment, which means that you were willing to risk failing. And I promise you, it is the most important part of the game, especially if you're ambitious and you're trying to do big things. I know that it's tough to walk into the office, an open plan office, on the Monday when all you've been talking about for the last 6 months is your running, your marathon, your half marathon, your results, nutrition, whatever anybody will listen to you about. It's tough to get there on Monday and tell them that you didn't get the time but nobody cares. And in actual fact, the people who care the most are the ones that are happy that you failed. But what people who you should care about, what the good people will remember, is how you reacted to this failure, how you responded when things didn't go your way. That is real character. Number 7, this will be the catalyst for you, I promise you. There was a time in 2018 when I was gonna go to the World Championships representing Great Britain and win the 100K World Championships and set the world record at the same race. That was my goal, that was my target. And I knew there was 5 or 6 guys that were capable of a similar thing. It was quite a weak world record at the time. And so I trained like an animal for it. And all I cared about was getting there and running as fast as I possibly could, running that world record, gone through the visualization. And it would have been really easy for me to go there, come top 10, and have that on your CV forever? It didn't mean anything to me. And the way that British athletics and England athletics is set up is really they care about the team prize, not the individual prize. But in my mind, I'm thinking, not selfishly, but the best that we all do as individuals, the better the team is going to do. And what I really think people care about is who wins the race. And in running, nobody really cares about the team prize and who came second in the Olympics, even last Olympics. And that was pretty much the mentality that I approached all my racing. And then 3 weeks or 4 weeks before the race, I was doing a simple training session, just an unnecessary training session I didn't need to do, injure myself. And so I'm in the shape of my life. I'm ready to set, in my mind, the world record, and I'm ready to become world champion, and I don't get a shot at it. And what that did for me was quite a few things. First of all, it lit a really strong fire inside, which carried on into the rest of my results. And one example is there was a race maybe 1 month or 5 weeks later. I went there, I wasn't supposed to be doing the race, but it was a 75K trail race. I set the course record by 25 minutes because I had all this anger or all this energy inside of me, that drive and all that training behind me, that I went and obliterated an 8-year record in a smaller race just because I wanted something from the training. And that's exactly where you are now. You want to get something from your training. So what you're also going to get is you look at your game. Why did I need to do that training? And as I've just said, it's a lack of confidence in my own process, insecurity that I don't quite have it. I'm not quite fit enough to win the world championships, and so I need that extra race. And it's often a lack of confidence in the process that leads us to overtrain. So that got fixed in that year for me. And what I also realized was, because I'm such a competitor with myself and everybody else, if I can get to the start line 80% fit, then I've got a chance. If I overtrain and I don't make the start line, or I make the start line and it doesn't, I know I'm not ready to win the race, I'm not gonna win the race. But in the years that followed that, and in the months and years that followed that, I had my best performances. I won the biggest races that I wanted to win, and I set my fastest times, all because I was exactly as you are right now, like deflated. I'm thinking, oh, I've put all this effort into something and got nothing from it. When in actual fact, you've got so much more from that than you execute in the perfect race and coming away with the time that you were looking for. So you got to work this to your advantage. And my advice to you would be this: step back from the marathon training for a little while and focus on another challenge. Maybe it's a shorter distance. Maybe it's to go back and revisit the half marathon. I would go after a faster 10K time and get that in line with you running 250 or 255, and really focus on that now for the summer and then build into, as you've said, build into an autumn or winter marathon. Because what you also have to remember is if you just go straight into another marathon block because you're desperate to use this fitness, you're desperate to get a result, you're chasing a result, and if you don't hit that, then obviously confidence is even worse, but at the same time, you're setting yourself up for failure because whether you think it or not, you've taken a lot out of your body and your mind, and to go straight into another block is asking a lot of you. So in my eyes, you didn't fail. You gathered evidence, you grew, you're regrouping, and you're gonna go back even stronger, even faster. Good luck, and I'll put a couple of 10K training videos on the screen. This is Mrs. Wilson. We don't know where she came from, and we don't know where she's going, but she's staying with us for a while. And she's just been pregnant, so we're feeding her kittens as well.